Out of all the health problems you can get, a stroke could be probably one of the most devastating conditions. Today we're going to talk about how to avoid strokes, specifically a silent stroke. What is a silent stroke? It's a minor stroke that has no symptoms, but does cause the damage. So there's certain parts of the brain that aren't involved in speech or motor control. And so if you have a stroke in those areas, you're not going to notice the normal paralysis on one side or the slurred speech. You may notice a little bit of loss of memory, but no major symptoms. And these silent strokes are very, very common. In fact, 14 times more common than a big stroke. And if you do research on strokes, it lists the risk factors, right? It says diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, obesity, atrial fibrillation, which is the dysfunction of the rhythm of the heart, and then metabolic syndrome and sleep apnea. What do all these problems have in common? Well, these are all symptoms of high insulin, okay? So let's talk about the things that you can do right now to prevent clotting and a stroke, okay? Number one, DHA and EPA. What are those? These are two very special types of fatty acids. They're omega-3 fatty acids. They're in fatty fish, especially salmon and halibut and sardines, cod liver oil. And you can also get DHA from algae, but you need something with both of these right here. The interesting thing about these healthy fats is that your brain thrives on them. They're involved in certain genes that not only build the structure of the brain, but the function of the brain and the repair of brain damage. They're anti-inflammatory as well. So this is very, very important in preventing or avoiding strokes. Number two, garlic. There's a certain phytonutrient in garlic that the drug companies right now are trying to isolate to use as an anti-clotting drug. Well, why not just consume garlic? It's a great blood thinner without any side effects. Now, there are certain medications that people are taking that are anti-clotting, like Coumadin, for example, which block vitamin K, but there's not only side effects, but it really restricts your eating because you can't consume leafy greens anymore. You have to consume foods very low in vitamin K. And if you're on Coumadin, I put a link down below of what diet you should be on and what vegetables you can consume. Exercise, vital to increase circulation, not just in your brain, but in the heart as well. Now, there's also this thing called exogenous ketones. I don't recommend exogenous ketones for the average person because you yourself can make your own ketones, okay? But there's two situations in which I would recommend exogenous ketones. And I'm talking about ketone salts. There is another version of ketones that you can get called ketone esters, specifically for athletes that are competing and they need some more energy or performance when they're working out. Very, very expensive. The salts are a lot less expensive. They don't work as well. When you have a stroke or you have Alzheimer's, the brain cells are damaged. So you're going to have great difficulty in having glucose penetrate the cells to feed the cells. So the common denominator for dementia is the cell can't get fuel anymore, so it can't work anymore. The good thing is ketones can bypass the damaged tissue, not just in the brain, but to the heart as well. And you can feed the damaged cell directly so it can get the fuel and start thriving. Your brain loves ketones. If given the choice, it will absorb ketones more than glucose. So as far as taking ketones, if you have a damaged brain, Alzheimer's or memory problems or dementia, or even a damaged heart, I would recommend taking these because that will actually help feed those tissues. And the other situation is if you're competing with some type of exercise and you need some more energy when you're exercising, I would recommend this. Number 5, vitamin E. Very, very important to help thin the blood and the clots, but make sure the version of vitamin E that you take is not a synthetic version. You want something with all the natural tocopherols and the tocotrienols together, okay? It's a whole complex. It can really help decrease the risk. And of course, the most important thing is get on healthy keto and intermittent fasting, because what's going to happen is that you're going to decrease your risk of stroke and you're going to get at the real root cause of all of these right here, which is high insulin and insulin resistance, because keto and IF improves insulin resistance and it lowers insulin. All right, thanks for watching. So if you want to get notified with all my content, click the notification bell next to subscribed.